Nicole, welcome back to the channel. The actual intro and outro for this video got lost when my memory card broke the other day, so voiceover time. Today's video is for the new Essie Fall 2024 collection called Punk at Heart. I purchased this collection from Ulta, so I'm grabbing descriptions from there. According to the Ulta website, this collection features 6 edgy shades from primary brights to dark metallics, all inspired by breaking societal conventions. Forget sugar and spice, it's time for studs and spikes.
You lost your mind. This isn't the Bubbles we know. The Bubbles you know is gone. I'm hardcore now.
Promotion for this release should be starting any day now. I will have links in the description box if you want to pick these polishes up. Also have links to all of my social media as well as timestamps in the description box. Let's get into this video. First up, we have Loud and Proud. Essie describes this one as a bright pink shade with a yellow and black undertone in a cream finish. Loud and Proud had a fantastic formula. I was pleasantly surprised at just how good coverage was for this one. It was just shy of being a 1-coater on me. My full-in swatches do show this one, however, in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. I do, however, disagree with Essie's color description of this one. I don't really see yellow in this one. I feel like this is very much a pink tone that I would expect to see in a fall release. It has like the slightest, and I mean the slightest bit of a grayness to it. And just a heads up, my natural light shots here, it was incredibly overcast and very dreary out when I got this shot, so the polish is looking a lot darker in my natural light shots than it actually was in person. Speaking of darker, this does dry down slightly darker than it initially applies, as I often find Essie creams tend to do. Loud and Proud removes super easily, and I had no issues with staining. This next polish is called Patch It Up, and Essie describes it as an olive green with a yellow and black undertone in a cream finish. I think my favorite thing about fall collections is always going to be the ugly green shades. Patch It Up is a perfect ugly green for the fall. I found the formula on this one was really nice, not too thick or too thin. It applied so nicely. And I had done my full hand swatches. I had written in my notes I thought this was going to be a solid 2-coater. However, I did notice when I was recording my live swatches that I felt like I was kind of on the edge of needing a 3rd coat, so I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on application style and potentially personal preference. Here in the last shade, I was not really seeing the yellow that Essie was mentioning, but in this one I can see a little bit of that yellowiness in the polish. I often find greens that have a strong yellow base to them tend to be really bad stainers for me. I did not personally experience staining while I was doing my full-in swatches for this one, but based on my experience on wearing colors like this every year, I always get staining with them after a while, so definitely wear base coat. This next polish is called Punk at Heart. Essie describes it as an intense twilight blue with green undertones in a cream finish. I simultaneously love and hate colors like this. I hate them because they're so hard to get color accurate. Essie is spot on with their color description. This is very much a deep twilight.
This is the skin of a killer, Bill.
Blue, but there's still a very slight green undertone to it. Not enough that I would say this is in the teal family. I would still firmly put it in the blue family, but that tiny drop of green just throws it off a little bit depending on your lighting. I like colors like this because I feel like it's a little bit more interesting than just a straight navy blue, but I just hate having to photograph or get videos of it because it's so impossible to get the true color because the true color looks different depending on what light I'm using. This is also dark enough that in very low lighting, it will look very close to like a blue-black. That is Punk at Heart in 2 coats plus a glossy top coat. This next polish is called Never Too Bold. Essie describes it as a deep teal silver metallic with a slight green undertone and a glowing pearl shimmer finish. Never Too Bold had a really nice formula. This was a little bit more sheer than the other polishes in the release, which I am personally okay with, mostly because it really made it so you could actually see the shimmer in the polish and that it didn't get all swallowed up in a very opaque base. I did, however, find in order to get the same color that I was seeing in the bottle and as well as to get even coverage, I did need a full 3 coats to even everything out. I found in 2 coats it still looked a little bit too patchy. Potentially, if your nails are significantly shorter than mine or you go in for thicker coats than I do, you might be able to get this one to be opaque in 2 coats. This is a very blue tone teal, by the way. Much like the previous polish, I did find depending on your lighting, it's gonna lean either kind of blue or teal. I think if I hadn't read the brand's description of the color, I also would have assumed that this was another blue toned polish that had a green undertone to it and not necessarily like a teal. The shimmer in here is slightly more metallic leaning. You don't get any brush strokes with it, and it definitely does not dry down textured. It doesn't come across, to my eye at least, as a glowy pearly shimmer. Like, it just looks like a metallic-y shimmer. Did not personally experience staining, but make sure to wear base coat. This next polish is called Leather Weather, and the brand describes it as a rich eggplant purple with deep purple undertones in a cream finish. Leather Weather had a fantastic formula. It starts off very uneven and kind of streaky on that first coat, but it does build up to reach full even coverage in 2 coats. This is a super pigmented polish, and yes, I was very terrified of getting it stuck all up in my cuticle crevices and causing some staining. This and the other creams in this release actually have that fantastic Essie cream formula that I always expect from the brand. I feel like when I initially tried Essie like 10-ish years ago that the formulas were really just like hated it, horrible, hated them, and now they're one of the mainstream brands that like I feel consistently makes really good formulated polishes. That to say, I could have sworn we had this exact color in last year's fall collection, so I'll have a comparison coming up in a moment. Like I said earlier, this is a super pigmented polish, so please make sure to wear a good quality base coat with it. And this is another shade that in very low lighting is going to look like a purpley black color on your nails. And last but certainly not least, we have Studs and Spikes. Essie describes this as a blackened maroon metallic with red undertones and silver and black shimmer finish. That description is the most misleading of the entire collection, and I say that because this polish is holographic in it.
Say what?
Nothing about the description, nothing about the bottle would indicate that there's holographic in this polish. I kid you not, I put on the first coat, I was like, wait a second. Am I seeing rainbows? At first I thought I had leftover glitter on my fingers. I was like, no, I've been swatching creams all day. There is no glitter to be had on my fingers. And then like I'm building, I'm like, yeah, there's holographic in here. That was a really neat surprise for me personally because I was not expecting holographic in here at all. As you can see here in natural lighting, there's a ton of holographic twinkle. Whatever kind of glitter they use, it's a very fine particled holographic, so it does not dry down textured at all, and removal is not going to be difficult. The overall look of this polish is very metallic-y. I'll give them black and maroon because I'm honestly struggling to decide what color I think it is. It's like a brownish purple with a lot of gray added to it. Thankfully, this is one of those metallics where you don't really see any brush strokes through the metallic-y shimmer in it. That is Studs and Spikes in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. Nothing in here is going to be overly difficult to remove. It will be fairly messy if you choose to scrub this one off. I would use the soak off method just because I don't like having all the pigments all over my fingers. I will fully admit, I really thought Leather Weather was going to be the exact same polish as last year's Underground Ball. Underground Ball came out in last year's fall collection. Leather Weather is significantly darker than Underground Ball. Also wanted to compare some of the dark blues that I have from Essie. So Punkit Heart is here compared to Feel the Hype from the Expressi line, as well as Step Out of Line from last year's fall collection. I gotta say, it makes my heart really happy seeing the color differences between all of these. Step Out of Line is leaning a little bit more indigo. Feel the Hype is leaning a bit more of like a gray toned color. And then of course, Punkit Heart has that slight greenish undertone. I would love to know from the people who are a bit more frugal in their nail polish collecting, if you see these 3 colors and you're saying to yourself, these are way too similar to own all 3, or if you can see the color differences between all of them and you think it's completely justifiable. And now we have Patch It Up compared to Meet Me at Midnight. Meet Me at Midnight was released in last year's fall collection. I didn't think these were going to be that comparable, honestly. I was just curious because when I was looking at last year's fall collection, I was like, oh wait, 2 greens, let's compare them. What I did, however, think was going to be similar was OPI's Priceless. I feel like this is a good representation on a summer green versus a fall green. I kind of find funny because when I was swatching the OPI collection, I didn't really think it was the most like bright, fun summer collection ever. I thought it was very muted and fall-like, but apparently compared to an actually muted fall color, it actually looks very summery. To compare Loud and Proud, I pulled out Pretty in Pearls. Clearly these 2 polishes are not terribly similar. I only pulled out Pretty in Pearls because I thought it seemed more of like an autumnal pink, and I just wanted to compare the 2 polishes side by side. I also pulled out Sunrenity from this year's summer collection from Essie. I did think these 2 colors were a lot more comparable, but I still wouldn't call them dupes either. Sunrenity has a lot of duskiness to it, like it's a very warm toned dusk rather than a dusty fall. And here is the entire collection all together. I feel like this is definitely giving some fall vibes. As an entire release, I thought all the formulas in here were all fantastic, which is what I generally do expect from Essie. We haven't gotten very many polishes from Essie this year that weren't cream finishes, so I was really happy that there were 2 in this run, especially since one of them was holographic. As far as my own personal top picks, Patch It Up and Studs and Spikes are 1000% going to be my top picks from this release. As always, I would love to know what everyone else thought of this release. Are you planning on picking it? Have you already picked it up? Are you super excited for fall collections like I am? Just let me know. I'm always super curious to see what people think of these releases. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you are new to my channel, hi, I am Nicole. Welcome. I upload new videos twice a week, every single week. I also have a second channel where I post all of my non-nail polish content. I would love to have you here as a subscriber on the channel. Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members. Shenanigang, just thank you guys so much for the love and support. Your names, of course, all on the screen right now. Channel members, we have a special members only live stream happening this Friday. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships, I have a link for that in the description box, or you can click join next to the subscribe button. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone has a fantastic week, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.